Hi there and welcome to the first video in this DIY driveway series where I'm going to be converting this area of garden into a nice little drive that we can park the cars on. And the first job is to remove these two bushes and this wall. So that's what we're going to be covering mostly in this video. And to get started, I'm going to start cutting down these fuchsia bushes. So these bushes have been here for many years, as long as we've owned the house, and I'm sure a long time before that as well. So they did take some getting through. They were just very dense. So you can see that I've started here with the hedge trimmer, and this was perfect for getting through all those thinner branches. But once you got into the middle of the bush and certainly a bit lower down, there were some much thicker branches which I needed to use the handsaw to completely get through there. But the hedge trimmer was pretty good for the majority of it. It was just the fact that there was so much of it that it took a long time. So once we got down nearer to the bottom and I was trying to get the roots out, I started using this grafting shovel, and I also used a pickaxe. And to be honest, these two tools were essential in my opinion. If I had just had a standard shovel, then I definitely would have struggled, because it would have been much more difficult for me to go deep and get underneath the roots, which is what the grafter allowed me to do. It allowed me to dig deep, and then once I'd got deep enough, the pickaxe allowed me to really sort of hammer it home into the soil to get underneath the root. And you can see here just the last bit here where I'm just using the pickaxe to just get underneath this one here, and then I just manually pulled it out, just a little bit of brute force here, and the last bit of the root came out.
Can't be right.
And as you can see, it was quite a big piece of root there. So the second bush, I'm not going to bore you with the whole process again, but it was very much the same, just going through it with the hedge trimmer and the saw. And you can actually see now, once I've got down nearer to where I'm going to start trying to pull the roots out, you can see just how dense this was down here. Really dense branches. And this was the thing that made this job the most challenging. And this also translated into the roots on this bush, which were even worse than the first one. This was made up of 3 separate roots, which were all kind of interconnected, so I couldn't get one out without getting the others out. But Stanley gave me a little hand here, and we managed to get this out. Then once that was done, we moved on to the front wall, and again this was not very complicated. It was just a case of taking it down brick by brick. It's for the most part a dry stack wall with a little bit of cement in the top couple of courses, so it was just a case of taking one brick out at a time in a safe manner. And then you can see this corner bit here, I just dragged that out before finally moving on to the pad stones at the bottom, the kind of footings of the wall. And I had to get these out just so I could get that concrete post on the left hand side of me there out. And for the post, I actually ended up using the back of an axe. I couldn't find my sledgehammer anywhere, but I have to say this actually broke up really easily. It was a concrete post, and as you can see, I'm only hitting it gently there and it's basically shattering. So I just broke it down and then cut the steel rebar out. You can see I'm just taking the last bit out there with a wrecking bar at the bottom, but it was relatively easy. Saying that, the one on the left hand side of me I may leave, because I think that's going to be a little bit more difficult up next to the wall. So you can see my big pile of stone that I've got there, and I also just laid out a few of the pieces of stone just to see what it would look like as edging for these beds where the fuchsia bushes were. So at the end, when I've done the driveway, I may bed these out, put a little bit of mulch in, and maybe put some plants or flowers in there. We're going to see about that. But yeah, I think it's coming on nicely. You can see what it's going to look like now. I think it's definitely starting to look a little bit more like a driveway. So I hope you enjoyed this, and if you do want to watch the rest of this project, make sure you subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.